So here's the belt. Put your name there on the back. Got the basket weave all the way around. Here's the double bullet loops. By the way, I'm not shipping it with shells. And then here is the holster. Yeah, boy, those oak leaves and acorns turned out really nice. So I'll put it in the mail on Monday. This next project is for a client. He's got a 357 Magnum 4-inch barrel revolver. I'm going to create him a holster for it, do some oak leaves in this area here. Notice on the template it's got this little area, have a dash marked off. This is the trace area for where you can do tooling on the holster. This line here, if you carry it all the way around, this will be the stitch line. Then of course got the slots cut out for where it will go on the belt. This is the other loop on the back, because this piece here will get folded over, and this loop and this loop will be combined into one, and then this will be attached, and then this will be where the other belt goes through. So it's kind of like a hidden belt loop. Put it on your pants, so it'll be this distance here where you can get a belt loop on your pants in between the two. So we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, so this leather here is going to be on the interior of the holster, because the way you make it is it's 2-ply leather. So we'll have a piece on the outside and then on the inside so that it's smooth on the inside. So since it's going to be on the inside, I'm going to flip this over so that it's a mirror image, and just trace around it like so. And then this is going to be my glue line and my skive line on the inside. So I'm going to flip it over and go ahead and skive that, or trace that. Those will be where I skive it when I fold it over, so it'll be the same thickness. Roll this up, set it out of the way, and then the leather I'm going to use for the exterior. It's a B grade Herman oak. And on the top, or the outside piece, I'm not going to do any markings on it just yet. And then the strap here. And so this doubles as the belt loop strap, as well as kind of a extra bit of support around the top lip. And I'm going to go ahead and mark here. That's where the opening will be. So I don't want to glue that down when I glue that, like so. Cut that out. Get this extra leather folded up. I guess I got to cut all the way through. There. So here you can kind of see the lines where I traced it around the edge. On this one, gonna write inside, just so I don't get them mixed up. Cut these out. Swap sides again. This is more difficult to film than I thought it was going to be. Just going around the trace line. So that's for the inside piece. And then for the outside piece, do the same thing. So and then the strap piece, belt loop portion. So here, I like to punch a little hole to cut around in those corners. Makes it a little easier to, you don't have to do this, but it just seems like Makes it a little easier to cut around. And just come in here. Put it down like that. In here. Just take it nice and slow as you're cutting. And if you have to take several passes, by all means do so. And then on those end pieces, let's see, that'll, oh yeah, you got your 1-inch punch there. Here again, you can cut these manually. There's several different ways to go about it. But and so this is the outside. This is going to go like so. We'll glue and stitch that in place. And then this is going to go on the inside. So when you fold it over, it's going to have the interior piece. So it effectively makes this a 10, 11 ounce thick holster, which is a nice thickness, but it gives you the extra strength because these will be glued together and stitched, of course. So it just gives it a little bit more durability, and it prevents it from, I don't know, just wearing and getting soft on you. So anyway, we will continue on. Here's the oak leaf pattern that we're going to put on there. So anytime you're going to do carving or stamping in a piece of leather and you want to retain the shape, make sure to use some type of tape on the back side. Some use packing tape. I like this painter's tape. Seems to work pretty good for me. Just trim off the extra tape. So you're not sticking to it as you're moving the piece around. So then move that to the side for just a minute. So I'm going to out there. Just kind of marking where I'm going to be putting this pattern. So the thing I do like to do is tape that down. So I'm going to case this leather. Bit of water on a sponge. When you case the leather, I've always been told that you want to case the entire piece, even if you're only going to be working on a portion of it. And that way it prevents you from getting kind of water stains on the leather. Just kind of keep everything even throughout. So and I like to tape down the paper on just one end. That way I can pull it up and check it. And so this is just a little stylus, craft tool, pro stylus. I'm just going to trace all of this on. Just tracing all the way around the leaves. And the acorns. I have to do this one. The hardest part is remembering where you went and where you haven't. If I went back and watched the video, I'm sure that I've traced over a couple of lines more than once, which is fine. It's not going to hurt anything. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 leaves and several acorns. And here, some go underneath and some are on top. And if you're really questioning yourself on whether or not you got it or not, you can kind of feel the line like so. You can kind of feel the indentation. Got that. So, moment of truth with that top one. Get this inside one here. Get this inside one here. That looks pretty good. All right. And then this one's going to be ready to carve. This one I'll just put my logo on the belt strap. So then swivel knife. Just about smooth cutting all your lines. Just try to keep your swivel knife perpendicular to your work. Ta-da! All carved up. So to get the strap ready to go, uh, so to get that nice finished look, when you mate pieces of leather like so, you don't want the bottom edge of this beveled so that when you glue it down, it's nice and flush. Nice clean edge. So you only want to bevel this top surface. So on this, um, I'm going to go all the way around it on this bottom edge. And on this part here, I don't need to worry about this top section because it's going to be at the top of the holster, and I'll smooth that with the actual top of the holster. It's going to get the part that's going to be laying flush. Now, like I said, any part that's going to be on one piece on top of another, I don't want to bevel the bottom. But if you'll notice, I marked where the belt loop goes. And so even though I beveled the top on both sides, this part where the belt loop goes isn't going to have, or isn't going to be flush on the leather. It'll be lifted up for the belt to go through. So I marked it on the back side using the template. And I'm going to bevel the bottom edge just of that section. And that way it'll be nice and smooth on both sides when they grab it to put the belt in. So makes it a little bit easier. So that's all I got to do to that. This is still wet from when I stamped it, so I'm going to let it dry just a little bit. I'm actually going to take a break right now, but when I come back, I'll case this again, and I'm going to go ahead and leave the tape on the back. I'm going to case this again, and then I'll do the tooling on the leaves and on the acorns. All right, so we're going to get started on beveling the cut lines we did with a swivel knife. Just a nice little oak leaf and acorn pattern. The request of the customer. These are the 3 bevelers that we're going to use. These are all pretty steep. This one is for outside rounds. The middle one's for inside rounds, and then this one's just a nice steep small beveler. So this is standard width. See, it's just a little bit narrower. Get in those tight places. And these are all Berry King steep bevelers. See, it's got it's just got Berry King stamped in it. So first thing we're going to do is case this leather. As I mentioned before, I like to case the entire piece just to keep that nice and even moisture content, avoid the water spots, and then also I'm sure from a dye penetration standpoint, it helps if it's the same. Just thought I'd get all the outside rounds first. All right. I'm sure I missed some. We'll come back and get those in just a minute. Some of these inside rounds now. All right, let's see what I can do with a straight edge beveler. See what kind of damage I can do here. A lot of spinning of the leather for sure, getting it to the place where I can actually stamp it. I haven't perfected where I can twist it just any way I want. I've got to actually move the leather to position it where my hand is. All right, so now I'll go back the other way. Zeta, stop that. Sorry, my dog, my pup, I should say, is chewing up everything in sight. So here's what I'm dealing with. Zeta. Hello, Liberty girl. Hello, Liberty. Oh. Yeah. Yep. Kind of rainy outside today, and so I've got my mutts in here with me. Yep. Hello, Liberty girl. Sit. Sit. Good girl. Yeah. 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 And this one. Yeah. They're starved for attention. That's for sure. All right. Back to some stamping here. See what I can do here. Ah. All right, I'm going to set up for dip dyeing a belt. This is a contraption I made. I didn't design this. I saw it somewhere. This is like 3.5-inch PVC. I got a couple of 45-degree angles. I'm literally just going to pour the dye down into this, and I'll support this with a couple of 2x4s just to hold it so that it doesn't roll. And then just pull the belt through and lay it out. And then the holster that that I'm working on, that I'm tooling for the same customer, I'm going to actually pour the remaining dye into this and dip dye the holster. So let me get this set up and I'll get back to you. So here's the belt. Nice Herman oak leather. Get the dye set up and my brown paper. So he wants walnut, dark walnut. Get the gloves on. These are just some cheap nitrile gloves. I ordered them by the case off of Amazon. Uh, they don't hold up real well, but I don't keep them on for very long. Just normally long enough to handle the leather. All right, so here we go. This really makes it nice and dark. Try to keep from getting it on my work table. Laying it out on this brown paper. All right, that one's done. Now I'm literally going to pour the dye into this pan. I'll clean this tube out in just a minute. Set it so that it's still between the 2x4 so it doesn't roll over. I got 3 pieces. I got a dip dye, the strap, the holster, and then the keeper for the belt. So I'll get rid of these smaller pieces first. Just going to wipe off the extra around the bottom here. Do that one more time. Ooh, I'm knocking the belt off. All right. And now I'll take care of getting this dye back into this bottle. The easiest way I found to do that is with a funnel. So I'm going to do that off camera because it is messy. So now I'm going to attach the belt loop strap and the retention strap to the holster. Um, just kind of lay it where I want it to be, and then kind of up underneath where it won't be visible. Just kind of scribing the glue line where the glue will go on the holster front. And you want to make sure not to mark where the belt will pass through the strap, because you definitely do not want to glue that. So I've got that kind of traced out like so, and then I'm just going to connect these lines here, and then that's where I'll put the glue on this and on this piece here. So before I glue this down, if you remember, I burnished the edges here, or I'm sorry, beveled the edges here. So now I need to go back and bevel those. Sorry, I've already beveled them. Now I will be burnishing just the side that's going to touch here. My preferred method of burnishing, whether it's veg tan or whether it's chrome tan leather, I've got my own little mix. It's nothing but toconol and water. It's about 50-50. It just allows it to flow just a little bit better, and the results are still the same. So normally, if I were going to be burnishing this so that both sides are rounded, I would use my wood slicker here. You see, it's got plenty of use out of it. But for this, I only want, because I'm only going to be doing this part right here for now, the part that's actually touching the, or attached to the holster body. And so to do that, what I do is I still apply the toconol, and I still rub it in with my finger. Just put a little bit on there. Go ahead and come around. Just a little dab. And I use this bottle versus sticking my finger in the original container and getting it out, or using a Q-tip. It just seems to work better for me. The results may vary. I still got a little extra, so I'm going to apply it down here. Get the rounded bit. Wipe off any excess. And then use my apron to wipe off any more. So what I'll do is I lay this flat down on the surface, just like it would be on the holster body. And then I just run the canvas around while pressing it down toward the stone here. And that way it gives it that flat bottom as I'm burnishing it, so it doesn't ride up. all the way around here. So I don't know how well it shows up, but it's got that nice burnished edge, but it's flat. And it just gives it a more finished look when the leather that you have laying one on top of another, um, it just mates better. It doesn't have that little lip underneath it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this little bit here and this little bit here. And then this part, you'll see where I've got the marks. That's where the belt loop will, or the belt will run through. This section right here, I will actually burnish both sides of the leather. So let me get this little bit right here. And I'll tell you, this tokenol, it lasts forever. And just a little dab will do you. Rub that in. Place it down flat against the surface. Voila, nice and shiny. Okay, now I'm going to hit this area between the loops. Again, just a little bit, goes a long way. And this one I'm going to take a good rub. That's good. And then do the same on the other side. All right, so I've got this one nice and smooth. I've got this one nice and smooth. So we are ready to rock and roll. Get this thing glued down to the holster body. Just going to apply a little bit of glue before I do. I don't know what this tool is exactly called. If I can get it to focus here. This is a tool that's kind of got little rough edges on it, and it just roughs up the leather for you. It's not sure where I got that from. Maybe off of Amazon. It doesn't say craft tool on it, so it's going to rough this leather down. I just pull across it. You can do the same thing with a leather awl. You don't have to have this tool. Before I got it, I would literally just scratch it with the leather awl, but this kind of gives it, I think, a little bit more uniform grooves, if you will. In this area here for the bottom of the strap. Like so. And then get my glue. This is barge cement. I move it to a secondary container. I have tried the glue containers, the secondary glue containers that Tandy sells. I know Don Gonzalez, DJ Leathercraft for saddlery, uses that. Sorry, I didn't mean to take it off camera. If I did. Anyway, get the leather, or get the glue on the leather here. But anyway, on that Tandy glue dispenser or glue container. I kept having it dry up on me, and maybe, I'm not making a ton of products like Mr. Gonzalez, but and maybe that's why it was drying up. And so I'm going to come back to that little bitty piece in just a second, because it's kind of difficult. So I'm going to get some glue there. Looks like I need to add some thinner to this bottle here too. Probably wouldn't hurt. All right. And then for this little section here, it can be kind of tough to get in there, especially with that big brush that I've been using. So I literally just have a little paintbrush that I've sacrificed to the glue. For the glue, a little bit on there. And dab it on there. Like so. And then just wipe most of the excess glue off. And I literally have one of those little glue scrapers. I'll show you that in just a second. That I use quite often. It's just for that purpose there that little tiny spot. This thing is just too wide for that. And when I tried it, it got glue all over the place. So anyway, I use it quite often, just not for this particular application. So we're going to let that set up for a little bit, and then we'll get it stuck together and then stitched on, and then we'll put the interior piece inside of it. So I've got this belt started. It's still rough on the back. I'm going to cut a 3/4 ounce liner to go on the back of this. I've got my strap cutter here. So we got this here and here. Perfect. We're going to get that all glued up now. All right, let's get this belt glued up. Before I do, I'm going to lay down this nice sheet of butcher paper to do the gluing on, and I just about use this roll of leather. That would be bad. All right. So about there and there should be sufficient. All right. And since my last gluing, which is on that holster, I told you it was getting a little thick, so I went ahead and added some thinner, barge thinner. And I try to, I don't remember who I saw do this, but instead of coming back against the edge of the leather piece, I try to always go from the center out. It seems to minimize the amount of glue on the edge of the piece. And it does seem to help. I know one thing, when you put that thinner in, it reminds you what that glue is like when you first open the king in that barge cement. I know there are others out there, and I don't. Maybe it was Don Gonzalez. Um, I think he uses barge. If anyone out there knows for sure, and I'm incorrect, please let me know. But it's always worked well for me. And like I said, I know there's others out there, but I kind of stick to what I know and what works. If I think, there could be something better, I might do that. But this really works. And so on this strap, I cut it so the belt's 1.5 inches wide. And to give me a little bit of room, I went with 2.5 inches on this blank, or for the backing, and give me just a little bit of wiggle room as I'm mating the two pieces together. So I don't have to get edge to edge lined up just perfectly. And then once I get this glued, I've noticed people trimming after they've stitched. Um, Normally, if I'm stitching with the machine, I rarely put a stitch groove. I literally, well, except for my holsters, I will on the holsters. Um, but on a belt, I normally don't put a stitch groove. And because I don't do that, uh, not because, but I use the little roller edge guide. And if I had this excess leather sticking out from underneath it just after I've glued it, I wouldn't be able to use that roller edge guide very well. So anyway, we'll let that dry. Now we're going to go ahead and put this piece on where it belongs. Like so. And then I've got a handy dandy little roller device that some of you may have seen me use it before. It just a little bit easier than, I don't know if it's easier, but I don't get the mallet marks when I use a mallet. Now I can stitch groove that, and we'll get her stitched up. So this is just a craft tool. See right there, craft tool, stitch groover. I had the original one that had the edge finder here in the center, and then the groover out here on the end. But I really like this style a little bit better. So we're just gonna start here. You know what? It's got a little flush issue right there. I'm gonna sand that down just a hair before we get started. All right, I got that sanded down. And that way, this will actually be on the edge. So you literally just hold the little edge guide on the edge and hold it at kind of an angle. And I'll come back and get these little straights here in just a second. Sometimes these curved parts can be tricky. Don't want to run across my tooling, that edge finder. Just kind of rolled it up just a little bit. Back here and close that off. And then this is my straight run or curved run where I can't get to an edge per se. And I'll use it for this one and this one. Go ahead and close that off. Ta-da. I finished up the stitching using the Cobra Class 4. I didn't get that on video. Now I'm going to glue these down together. Again, using the barge cement. Let's get it on here and smear it around a little bit. Again, trying to go out past the edges, not coming into them. Again, it just kind of helps with preventing glue from getting on the edge. It's not a foolproof way, but seems to help. Get this glue on there as even as possible. Again, this is barge contact cement. It doesn't take long for it to get tacky. You don't want to put it together wet. You want to wait just a little bit for it to dry just a hair. and get tacky. All right, so we'll let that dry just a little bit. All right, these two are ready to go. So I'm just going to press that down. A little bit nice and straight. So I showed you a smaller roller in an earlier one. This is, I don't know, 4 inches wide. It's nice for these long, straight pieces. All right. So I'm just going to trim the belt ends to their shape. It's the round end punch. And I'll do the same for the pointed English point. Oh, I messed that up altogether. Try that one more time. Get all the way on there. There, that's a little bit better. I'll still trim that. I didn't do a very good job of getting the recording on cutting it to size with both layers on it. I'm gonna work on getting these holes repunched through both pieces. This is a 1/8 inch punch, 1/8 inch weaver punch. Uh, two holes, and slot. And we're finished. So here's the belt here. It's got his name in it. Nice little basket weave pattern. This glue seems to be tacky now. I'm going to go ahead and affix it one to another. Try to get it all lined up. You only get really one shot at this. And like so. All right. I need to do this for the belt too. It's going to sand these edges flush. I'm mainly sanding this side down because when I fold it, I'm going to use this to trace my stitch line. I want it to be nice and even so it doesn't jump on me. And then this part up in here, I'm sanding because I won't really have an opportunity to after I stitch it together. And the same with the bottom. Pretty good. All right. Some of that dust off of it. Coming together nicely. So I accidentally deleted the video. I tell you, this leather crafting and trying to be a cameraman all at the same time is for the birds. But I like to be able to help people out. So I skived this down on both sides. And I went ahead and marked my groove line here for the stitching. I wetted this center section down so that I could bend it over. And I'm going to glue here and here and get it stuck together. I need to hire a full-time cameraman. That's what I need to do. Because just in this series, I bet I moved the camera 15 times. And half the time I forget to turn the camera on, or I think it's turned on and it's not. It's just kind of frustrating. It's one of those things where you just can't go back and do the work. Just to put another little glue on. We'll let that set up. All right, so now that the glue's all nice and tacky, just going to fold it over, line it up. I like having the front side because if I'm going to have to do any sanding at all, I want it to be coming off of the back side. That way my stitch line is always the same distance from the edge. So I don't want to remove any on this front side here. I'm going to take it all from the back. And it's not like it's a bunch, it's just a little bit. But when you clean it up so that you can burnish it, you just don't want to remove any from the front. So, now it's ready to stitch. Apologies for the mess on the workbench. I got started on this and realized I wasn't recording it. So I've got a client, been working on a belt. So it's a little basket weave stamp and hand carved, hand tooled holster I've got in the works. But he also wanted a series of bullet loops or bandolero uh, that I'm making here. So this is the template that I'm using, and I haven't peeled the paper coating off yet, but you can see that it's got that fluorescent green underneath it. Makes it super easy to stand out on your workbench. Here's an example of what it looks like when it's peeled. This particular template is for the 9mm 357 38 special, and so the total width of this thing is 2 inches, and then I've got lines here so you can line it up on a 1.5-inch belt, and then these little cutouts here are each 1/2 inch long, and they're perfectly spaced so that you can run a 1/2 inch 3/4 ounce leather through there and make your bullet loops. So he wants a special setup. He wants 6 and 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 5, 6 and 6, and he wants to be able to wear this on this belt. So I made this 2.5 inches wide, and I'm going to put a belt slot here, and then I'm going to put 2 in the center because he wants to wear this on his belt. So I don't have my leather wetted yet. I'm going to dye the pieces first and let you see what those look like. So anyway, more to come. This is the strap I'm going to use for the bullet loops, and I don't want it to just be plain, so I'm going to case this. And I don't know how much I'm going to need for the loops. I just cut a piece, and then what I have left over I just trim off. So I know this is way more than what I'm going to need. So I did the belt in basket weave. So I thought I would do basket weave on this as well. I was going to run them end to end. I don't like that at all. All right, so change of plan. Just, it's hard to hold straight. I don't care for that at all. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut that off, and I'm just going to run a couple of lines down it on either side. just to give it a little accent rather than just plain. It's amazing how just this little accent mark really adds so much to the finished look of the piece. Some people would rather not. Take this extra step to do this, but to me it's worth it, giving the customer something that they can be proud of and show off. It's just that little extra, and I'm thinking maybe, depending on how much room I have, looks like I'm going to have a little bit of room, I might just go through down through the center and put a decorative stamp. See what that looks like. And there's actually a way to calculate how much strap you'll need. Simply, you can lay it out. It's super easy. I'm going to trim or cut a whole strip off the side piece of leather, and so it's not like I'm only going to cut halfway down, because then the next time I need to cut like a piece for the back of a belt or some other item, strip, strap material, it's not going to be even. So yeah, I think I can get a stamp in there. I'm also trying to keep an eye on my pup. She's fairly new to the compound, and we just took her in to get her spayed, and so she's wearing the cone of shame as we speak, and it looks like she's tearing up the dog bed. Zeta, stop that. I don't know what it is about dogs and chewing up their dog beds, pulling the stuffing out of it. Zeta, no. Go lay down. All right. And then I'm going to take my Weaver Zero beveler and bevel these edges down. Now to do the back side. Try to get that little extra fuzz right off the edge. Mm-mm. All right. I wonder, that's just a little too wide. Let me see. That'll be kind of a pretty one. Let's see if that'll fit. I think it will. Let's see. That's going to turn out real pretty. Mm-mm. Zeta, no. Lay down. All right, so I'm setting up the bullet loops. This is for a 357 Magnum. So on this, I've already got the slots cut. Those are 1/2 inch slots. And so what I did was I riveted the one end just outside of the slots, the one end, and then take some of these rounds and kind of lay it like so. And this end is going to go through the same slot that I came through. Kind of tight, but that's the way you want it. You have to. Get your pair of needle nose, grab hold of that strap, pull it through. And then you always want to make sure to use an unspent round because the brass isn't elongated or expanded. So we've got that one set. Just keep pressure on that. And then I'm going to come back up through the slot here. Pull it tight. And then get the end back down through that same slot. If you have to do a little finagling in the slot, that's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. Just get that started. Hopefully I can get on it with a pair of needle nose. Yep. Get it going. And then take another round and lay it in there. Square them up. Just pull it tight from the back side. It's just a little loose. I'm gonna pull it a little bit tighter. Like so. And then rinse and repeat. Run it through there. Pull it nice and tight. And then tuck the end back down through the same slot that you just pulled it through. And if necessary, grab with a needle nose. If you'll notice, I trimmed the end just a little bit so it's kind of pointed. Makes it a little easier to get through that slot. And then after you get all of them loaded in there, you can just let it sit and dry for a little bit. After I get this first run done, I'll go ahead and pull the shells out. So as it dries, it tightens up just a little bit more. Through. Make sure you pull it good and tight. Get enough through to grab with your needle nose. Make sure you don't get it twisted on itself. Pull it tight. Do the same thing again. Pull it up and through, nice and tight. Push the end back through the same slot. Grab it with your needle nose if necessary. And this is 3 to 4 ounce leather that I'm using here. 6 to 7 ounce here. Like so. And then I'm going to punch a hole for the rivet. Like so. Pop the rivet in. Why are you putting a rivet in right there? I'll explain why. This particular client wanted a double bandolero for his belt. All right, so that's still being wet. I'll pop those out. And they can start drying. And then I'm going to cut cut that right there. So I got to put 2 slots in the center. He's going to wear this on his belt. Like so. And then we have pointed end here. We got the end pointed. And I need to pop a hole on this end. And drop a rivet in here. So all right, I'm gonna let this one more time. Dry it out on me a little bit. I like to wet both sides. It's entirely up to you, but there's a little bit more stretch. Just a little bit there that's not wet. All right. So the same hole again. Pull it through with needle nose. Make sure it's not twisted on you. Pop the shell in. This is, I think, 2.5 inches wide. And I offset the slots so they're not in the center, so that the bullet will have plenty of room to lay nicely. Pop it through there. Grab the strap, pull it through. Set your round in there. Pull it nice and tight. Up and through. Nice and tight. This is just one method. I mean, if one wanted to sew the loops on, they definitely can. But I learned this method from an old timer, and he swears by it, and so that's good enough for me. Pull it tight. Tuck it down in the same slot. if we got enough to grab hold. Oh, just barely. Grab around, pull it through, nice and tight. And one more time. Nice and tight. Back down through the same slot. Grab with the needle nose pliers. Necessary. You might have young hands and can do it without, oh, pull it down too far. I'll get one in there. Oh, yeah. Nice and tight. Back up through. Nice and tight. And then back through. Same slot. Grab what we did in those pliers. Push around in there. Pull it nice and tight. All right. While you're pulling it nice and tight, go ahead and pop my rivet hole. It is grab my rivet, put in the hole. Pop the cap on there. Got it seated. And like so. And then here, cut off this little extra. Not cutting through the body. There we are. Put on. And so I'm going to put 2 slots here and then slots on the outside. And that way he can put it on his belt and run his belt through here, through the center, and then over here to the edge. So, ta-da. All right, so I went ahead and pre-cut the slots in it. And this is going to be the backing. And then I'll just need to glue her up. And I don't know if you can see the pencil line. I just loosely traced around the outside of the front piece. Give me an idea of where to put the glue. I'll lay it on here and put this glue on, and then let it tack up. And then set that down on there and get her stitched up. And try to brush up past the edge and not come from the edge to the center, just to try to prevent as much glue from getting on the edge as possible. All right. Let that set up, and then we'll tack her down. The glue's tacked up. Like here, I got a little bit extra glue seeping through the front. As it dries, it'll just rub right off, so that's no big deal. I want to keep the back as flat as possible. That's why I put the top down on it. Get my little roller. Roll all this down nice. All right, now it's just a matter of trimming that edge off, that excess here.